All right, we're excited to be joined on the Unleashed podcast by Fern Camacho. Fern Camacho? Fern,
Yeah,
did I
there
say
you
that right?
go. Yeah, people got lazy around sixth grade and they shortened Fernando to Fern, and now I
Yeah,
just go with
yeah. There's a lot of things you could go with, I suppose. But Camacho, I'm just brushing up on my Italian. So
it.
Fern's with us. He's from FernDog Training, and so this is fantastic. Fern has a long history of going into people's homes and working with humans and dogs and doing some training. And we're fortunate enough to have access to the video series that you created, Fern, and we're it's an added bonus to some of our Black Friday specials as we talk here, around Thanksgiving of 2023, but then also going forward here at Unleashed as well. We want to feature some of this as a take-home aid for our customers and really tools that can help at home with dogs and where people can get started. I'll let you talk on this, Fern, because I don't have a lot of direct experience with it. You have kind of been through all of the guts of this. You've talked to customers, you run your own training business, you've been to people's homes and tried to really translate, right, the language of dog to human and how to get the human pet owners, pet parents to have success in helping to train their dogs. So tell me a little bit about what that's been like for you and how you got to creating this series of training videos.
Well, yeah, no, thanks, Ben. It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you. I started my journey like maybe like 15 or so years ago when I had a was faced with a possible career change, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I kind of looked down at my dog and I'm like, I have a pretty good relationship with my dog. Maybe I could teach other people how to do that. I didn't even realize it was a job at that point. But then as I kind of got into it, I kind of feel like, it was just kind of like it just came very easy for me, natural for me, and I did a lot of study and experimentation, working in dog daycares and stuff like that, and it kind of took off. I kind of feel like it was just like one of those things I was meant to do. But the thing I realized very quickly is that you mentioned communication there, and like a lot of problems between people and dogs is that we're just speaking two different languages, and we're both looking at each other like, "Why the hell don't you understand me, dummy?" But it's going over our heads like we don't get it. So I always say, like, dogs will never learn the language of English or German or Italian or whatever you speak, but we can learn pretty adequate dog. So I think it's our responsibility to try to learn how to bridge that gap by just understanding some ways that we can better communicate with them. And if we do that, they're happy to do whatever we want them to do. They just want to live in our world. But if we don't give them the direction, I think where a lot of people make a mistake is that dogs are so kind of involved and interwoven into our life that we just take for granted that it's another species living in our world. Like, we just expect them to know what we want to do and just naturally do it. And the good thing about dogs is they're very trainable, they're very adaptable if we teach them. So that's the key. We have to teach them, or else they're going to make it up on their own. And all behavior problems are just dogs acting exactly like dogs. So they're happy to do it our way, but only if we teach them.
All right. So I want to get into this a little bit, but the truth or myth, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Totally false.
Hmm.
Like, you can always teach. It's like saying, all right, I'm going to be 54 in a few weeks. No bother, no use teaching me any. I might as well not learn anything anew because I guess I'm done. My mind is totally full. We can always learn new things, and you can always, and especially dogs, I think, are always more than willing to learn if we take the time to teach them. So, the definitely the longer certain behaviors go on, everything is repetition and consistency. So the longer certain behaviors go on, the longer it takes to reshape those behaviors. So, when I was working with clients and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have a dog who's 10 years old, been doing this for 10 years." I'm like, all right, well, we got a lot of work to do. And we have to then at that time determine, is this something we have the time and the resources to put all those reps in to counter condition that behavior? Or is it something we just manage at that point? But dogs are always just like us. We can always learn new things.
So basically, if you're looking at this video series, through Unleashed here, and you're thinking, well, my dog is either 10 or maybe I don't know 4 or 5 years old. Clearly it's easier to imprint on a puppy, right? But even if a dog's a few years old or middle aged, as it were, these can be valuable tools to still make some progress, and maybe you might have given up hope on a certain behavior or personality trait for your dog or whatever the case may be, but these can still help.
Everything can be improved upon. I always say we're not looking for perfection. There's no such thing as a perfect dog. We're just
Yeah.
trying to make each individual dog the best version of themselves, whatever that means. And some dogs, you can go pretty far with it. Like, so I have a beagle now, and you know what? Beagles are not all that attentive to humans. They're bred to ignore us. And I realized I can't do. He's never going to do certain things that my last dog, who was a pit bull, could do. Like she could do. She was much more open to suggestion than this guy is. So I'm just trying to take each of them and make them the best versions of themselves. And I think that's what's important. It's not about perfection. Or a lot of times we have this vision. I always say it's like the dog you have versus the dog you want, and you can't shoehorn the dog you want into the dog you have. You have to realize, okay, this is the dog I have, and then let's take it as far as we can, and again, make them the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. So we've got this video series again that we're offering our customers, not only with the currently as we record this our Black Friday special, but then going forward as well, we're going to make it a take-home tool as part of our overall enrichment here at Unleashed and what we're trying to do. So, Fern, there's three video series that we are offering, and one is Raising a Good Puppy, the other is Dog Behavior Boot Camp, and then the third one is Basic Obedience and Manners, and they each kind of have their own set of video series. So I want to get into it, but before I just kind of get an overview from you about what each of them entails for people who are looking to, improve and use the take-home tools, you have done a ton of videos. You have your website, FernDog Training. You can go check that out as well, and just tons and tons of content. It's awesome. And I just wanted to understand from you. You talk about how you made a career change. I've done the same thing. I mean, a lot of people have done that, and you've really taken off with this. And my question is, how did you go from not only training but then utilizing the videos, and how have you bridged that gap? Because I the sense that I get, and I'm not all the way in on the dog training world. But the sense that I get is that it's hard to bridge the gap between you know how to work with a dog, but helping the human, uh, implement the training that you have put into the dog is a huge challenge in the training world. So how did you come across that? What do you think of that? How did the videos come to be for you?
Okay, yeah, I think that's one of the big things is that for me as a dog trainer, and what I've learned early on is it's not as much. Everyone thinks that I'm in the dog business, but I'm actually in the people business.
Yeah.
Okay, because I need to communicate the things that need to be done to the people who are going to be doing it day in and day out. I always say my job is not to train your dog. My job is train you to train your dog because it's about repetitions. And I can only do a certain amount of repetitions if I'm there, even if I'm there in person, where the person who's living with that dog, can do daily repetitions time and time again. So you are in the best position to train your dog to affect behavior change. So my job is really just communicate to you what you need to do. So that's where I think a lot of dog trainers get into trouble when they tell me, like, I'll talk to somebody who wants to become a dog trainer, like, oh, I'm a dog person. I'm like, you're in trouble. This is a people job. All right. We have, because it's not up to the dog. It's up to us to learn how to better communicate. It's up to us to teach our dogs. So really the human component is very important. And in working with people, I loved, working one-on. Most of what I did was one-on-one behavior consultations.
Mhm.
I taught some group classes and stuff in the beginning, but for most of my dog training career is all about one-on-one with the human beings. And one thing that COVID taught us is that we can leverage technology and do things in a way maybe we never thought was possible. Even before COVID, I loved technology and I loved to utilize that. And there's so many tools available to us. If we just there's never been a shortage of information where in our life now. So
Yeah.
the videos are just another way to be able to provide help for maybe like I did it for when I can't be everywhere. I wanted to help people. People were contacting me from California and I'm in New Jersey. I can't help them. But now if I use technology, Now we can leverage technology and we're able to get our information out everywhere. And the cool thing about video courses is you get to do it at your pace. You get to rewind, you get to watch them over again. It's better for retention. Definitely, it's very different than hands-on, but I believe it's a really good way to get a baseline and get some new information in. And I think a lot of people, they get frustrated. They'll be like, I'll teach them something and I'll show them like a better way. And they're like, oh man, I can't believe I've been doing this thing wrong for so long. And I always try to say, we're all just doing the best we have with the information in front of us. Okay. That's it. So our job is, if something's not working, we just need more information and we need to find a better way. So
Yeah.
again, there's plenty of information out there. So this is just another way to kind of convey you some extra information so that you can improve whatever your situation is with your dog and make them the best versions of themselves.
Well, I love it because, the reinforcement aspect, we talk about pausing and rewinding, being able to see something over. When somebody comes over and, is helping you train your dog in your home and it works and you see it, it's fantastic. But, I know I'm this way. If I only see something once, it can be the greatest teacher in the world. If I can't repeat it over and over again and really imprint it in my brain, it's not going to be as effective. So I love that aspect of what you can possibly do with the video series, and I just think you took it to a good level, Fern. And I'll tell you what, you have done not only the video series that we're offering, but we have used your videos for our daycare group and staff training because you've done that as well, and been a huge influence. And really, we've had a couple handlers that work with us for multiple years, and they watched your videos, and I said, well, what'd you think? Because I took a lot from them myself, and they just were just delighted. I'll use that word, delighted. They just thought it was great because they picked up some things that they had never seen before and noticed, and now they see it every day, and it's so obvious. The signals that dogs give, the way they communicate, is become so much clearer because of us being able to watch your videos. So it's been a huge help to our staff here at Unleash. So thank you.
No,
But,
my pleasure. Totally
yeah,
my pleasure.
but let's talk about let's start with I guess we'll start chronologically, as it were, with raising a good puppy, because that is one thing. How much of a difference is it, Fern, when you're trying to train a puppy versus an adult dog?
Well, puppies were my sweet spot, I think, especially towards the later half of my career. And, when I first started, many years ago, people would pretty much call me when they had a problem. So it's usually like an adolescent dog, and they're like, "Oh, we got problems now. We got to call a trainer."
Yeah,
And then I found, over the 15 years of me doing this, people got more educated and realized, wow, I have no idea what to do with a puppy. So instead of waiting for problems, let's be proactive and let's start them off at the right foot. So then I started to getting a lot of people who, before they even got their puppy, are calling me. And I love that because it's always better to be proactive than reactive. So puppies, obviously, they need to learn how to live in this weird human world,
yeah,
because if we don't show them, they're gonna make it up like a dog, and all behavior problems are just dogs acting like dogs. So we need to teach them how to be a dog in the human world. They're totally willing to do that if we just take the time. And there are at every age of a dog's life, there are certain things that are a little bit a higher priority. So for puppies, we want to, obviously, house training. We want to get them to learn not to hose down your house and to get outside and stuff. And then socialization is such a big part of it. And I was kind of like, I'm on like a crusade about socialization, because I think very few people understand what proper socialization is. And 80% of the problems that people hired me for with their adult dogs, if they just socialize their dogs better, they would never need me. So I always tell people, I'm on a quest to put myself out of business. If you do it right with a puppy, you don't have to worry about problems as an adult. So it's very important to get them started off on the right way, because as we mentioned, the more repetitions go on, the harder it is to change behavior. So if you can get started on the right foot before you do some, too many steps backwards, it's easier to shape the behavior that you want.
now is socialization, are you talking mainly dog parks, daycare, just being with other dogs is just is as simple as that, or what do you mean by socialization exactly?
Well, socialization to me is in three big areas. It's people, dogs, and the environment.
Okay.
So we just want dogs to get exposed to a lot of different things so they adapt to it and realize none of this is a big deal. Okay. So I always look at like service dogs. To me, service dogs are like the ultimate dog because nothing phases them. Like nothing, sounds, people, chaos, they're totally chill. So I just found out what they did. And when they get a young puppy, they just hand him to a volunteer and they say, take them everywhere. And that dog meets tons of people, tons of different dogs, goes to different places. And then they give him to another volunteer and they go to different places, different dogs. And by the time the dog is ready to start their formal training, which is not really till they're like 8 months of age, they don't even get to a trainer till they're like 8 months of age. It's just socialization. Because the sooner you start, the easier it is. And puppies have a lot of bounce back. So it's important to do this stuff early on because even if they do get a little, nervous or anxious, they come out of it real quickly. So it's very imperative. So socialization is always like top of my list.
Okay. And is it possible? We see this happen at Unleashed all the time, where a new daycare dog will come in and they're a few years old, and they are just, whoa, they hit the pack and they're like, whoa, I'm a little scared here, tail between the legs. Some of them will try and run from other dogs, and then that of course riles up the pack. So we have to make sure that they're safe and kind of get them into a different situation. Or they might tolerate it, but you can tell they're just not comfortable. And then we will see over time sometimes that those dogs will assimilate nicely and be actually happy and enjoy the pack. But sometimes it's a little harder. Are there any tricks for middle-aged dogs or dogs who are not puppies in terms of socialization if they have not had it?
Yeah, you can socialize a dog at any age. Just the longer you wait, the harder and more time consuming it is. So when I see like a 2-year-old dog that, so you look at all these COVID dogs who, unfortunately during COVID, everyone got COVID puppies, but they didn't leave the house. So these dogs are exposed to nothing and afraid of everything. So there's a lot of reactivity, a lot of anxiety because of it. And it's just because they were not exposed to things. So it caused I call it the canine COVID effect. Like it really caused a lot of problems in dogs that became antisocial. And the thing is, dogs are social animals. They live in groups. When I see an antisocial dog, it means we screwed them up a little bit. So you can always do it. It just takes a little bit more care and time as they get older. So a little puppy, because they have that bounce back and they have no preconceived negative connotations to that, you can kind of just throw a puppy in a pack of dogs a lot of times and they kind of figure it out. But when you do that with a dog who's never been exposed to that and is now an adult dog, they can't handle that. And that's when they get either reactive or they just shut down. So those dogs, it takes a slower process. We got to, meet one dog, get them used to one dog, make a buddy. And then, I call it the dog's fan club. And we're just trying to build the dog's fan club one dog at a time. And the more dogs in the fan club, the easier it is for other people to kind of get in the club. And you're just trying to slowly expand that, just making it you're trying to make it a positive experience for the dog. So they realize, I thought I didn't like this, but actually this is pretty cool.
Okay, no, it makes sense. And so we obviously have we've gone for a long time about different offshoots of this, but back to just the puppy video series that you have. Just within that specific few videos that you have on raising a good puppy, what is the objective there for a pet parent? Obviously they're going to want to start watching those videos as soon as possible, I would imagine. Right when they get a puppy or have a puppy.
Absolutely. Like I said, the sooner you get started, the better. People always ask me, when's a good time to start training your puppy? I said immediately, like right now, like whenever it is, right now. And
Okay.
so my sweet spot, the clients that I like to take care of are usually families. So people with, a job, they have kids, a lot of responsibilities. So the series is built for people with busy lifestyles who you're not looking for your dog to do like a 10-minute downstay in traffic. You just want a dog who's going to fit in with your lifestyle, have fun with the kids, and be good part of your family. So that's what it's designed for. So I try to keep things limited to what you need to know without, overdoing it. So they're brief to what's really important. And then if you want to take it from that point on, go for it. But this is going to give you the foundation, and everything has to happen I always say that you need the foundation. Without the foundation, everything you do on top of that falls through cracks in your foundation. But if your foundation is strong, you could do nothing else and have a great dog, but you need that foundation. So the video series is designed to give you that strong foundation. And then if you want to do more stuff on top of that is just going to build.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And you have obviously the starting point if you can get in early enough with the puppies, but you also have the series of basic obedience and manners, and then also the dog behavior boot camp. What's the difference between those two, and are both good for dogs as they get a little older, or how would you kind of incorporate those other two video series?
Sure. So yeah, the reason why I created these three in particular is it kind of is creating again that foundation for all dogs. So you start with a puppy as you get into adolescence. So puppies, they have a limited attention span. They're not going to focus that much. So like puppy classes are really geared more towards socialization, handling, exposure. As dogs get to like 7, 8 months of age, they have a little bit of the ability to focus a little bit more. And that's when I like to, so like adolescent dogs between like 8 months and 2 years, that's where I like to add some sort of obedience class because they have the ability to concentrate more, and they're punk teenagers who need some direction. At that time in their life, dogs need structure and direction to help them figure out what we need them to do. So it's a perfect time to add some skills. So a basic obedience and manners class basically is teaching the basic skills. So, and you really only need the basics to have a great dog. And it's basically sit down, stay, come, just the simple things that, we all know when we think about training for a dog. These simple skills you can either build upon, or just them alone can help your dog. They're just tools to help them figure out how to act in our world.
That's great. And then the boot camp, is that a little
And
different
then the
then?
boot camp. So what I've learned in working with dogs is that a lot of people think, well, I'm getting a dog, so I gotta teach it this, this, and this, and this. And what I've learned is that all that stuff is great, but it's not to get a good dog. It's not about giving you more work to do, not more homework.
Yeah.
It's about changing the things you do with your dog every single day. Those little interactions will have the greatest impact about their behavior. So the boot camp is focusing heavy on that foundation about what you can do to make sure we're giving the dogs the structure that they need so they understand what we want of them. And it's a lot of nuances. It's about, they don't need to learn all this other stuff if you just make sure you're rewarding the right state of mind. You're creating the structure about how things happen in your day, like how you interact with your dog on a daily basis will have huge ripple effects on their behavior with you and everybody else. And since you can do the greatest repetitions because you're there all day, it makes the most sense to focus on that. So that behavior boot camp is designed, whatever your dog behavior problems is, you go through that boot camp, I guarantee you your dog's going to have better behavior because we're working on those little things that happen every day.
Okay, that's great. So I think to kind of summarize everything, give me a couple things I'm thinking of. One is, what amount of time would a pet parent need to spend, on a daily basis, let's say, or at least, I don't know, 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, per day, all told with the whole series, through the first, however long period of the dog's life, or whenever you get the video series. Is it half hour, 10 minutes? What do you think per day?
It's not, there's no exact number I could tell you because every dog's different. Every person's different. Every situation is unique. So definitely, like most things, the more you put into it, the more you will get out of it, especially early on. So when I got my puppy, who is a beagle, he's now 6, he was one of the worst puppies that I've ever experienced in my entire life. I wanted to give him away about every other day, but I said, okay, this is my opportunity to teach him. So I put things on hold. There's projects I had to put on hold. I prioritized him during that point because I knew if I put in the time with him, if I invested in him early on, it was going to have lifelong effects. And that was definitely true. So if you can invest a little more time early on, it makes everything else easier in the future. Again, it's about being proactive instead of reactive. It's hard once you see behavior problems existing. So the sooner you address it, the sooner you realize that, okay, maybe we're a little off course here, let's put in the time to change it, the better everything is going to be going on in the future. And he's an awesome dog now. And it's not by accident, not by chance. It's because I put in the time early on.
Yeah.
But again, when you get into that boot camp course, you're going to see that it's not about adding more time to your day. It's not about saying, okay, I got to work for 30 minutes. It's about how you feed your dog, how you give your dog affection, how your dog gets the things he values. It's the stuff you're doing this stuff whether you know it or not. So it's just changing the way that happens. So it's not adding any extra work. Obviously, if you're teaching a skill like a sit or a down, yes, you're going to want to, allow some time, maybe, 30 minutes to work on those skills and build on them. But for the behavior stuff, it's about the things you do every single day. So it's not adding more time in your day. It's just changing the way you do it.
That's outstanding. I mean, I love to hear that because that's for a busy person, like me or like all of our customers. That's great.
Yeah.
That you could just essentially change your behavior, get more educated, and understand how your dog is seeing you and how you can change behavior through that boot camp. So that's really cool. Would you say? I don't know if you can answer this question, so I'm just gonna throw it out there and take it as you will. But doing this series or just the videos in general, um, as opposed to like in-person training, is it like 80% is good, 90% is good? What would you say? Is there, if you had to judge it, if people actually took this and implemented them, how effective can they be versus, in-person training from a trainer?
I mean, it's hard to say because a lot of it is based again on the individual dog and the individual people doing it. Some people, they learn differently. Some people, they need a little bit more hand like hands-on type of
Sure,
work. Obviously, if I was there with you with your dog, I could experiment because a lot of times you need to experiment to see what the dog responds to. So then I could see what the dog is responding to, and then I can adapt what I'm doing like in real time. So here you have to kind of just try that out and make it up on your own. So obviously, if you're in it all again, you're probably also limited by how good the trainer is, not only in teaching skills, but in communicating to you on how to do it. So they're all good. I think the like reading a book or start like you're always trying to see like what's the easiest to implementation. So, obviously it's hard to make it to a group class every week, but if you can do it, that's great. Behavioral issues aren't really you can't really deal that in a group setting. So then you need private classes. So if you can do all that stuff, awesome. But the books and the courses like this, they're designed to get you. We can get you some for some dogs and some people. This will take you the whole way. For others, this may take you 50% of the way, and maybe or you may get these couple of things are going really well, but this is like your dog's Achilles heel, and I need a little bit more advanced training or a little bit more maybe personal help on those things. So I
sure.
think it's different for every dog and for every person, but the key thing is just starting with that foundation, and then you can build on top of it.
And obviously, our goal here at Unleash too is to provide this for you, and then have it be a great enhancement to what we're trying to help your dog to do through our enrichment daycare programs as well here at Unleash. So it's a chance for you to bring your dog for all that socialization and some of the training that we can handle as well, but then you can translate that to your home base as well and do that. And that's why the videos can be such a great tool. And there's this video series, and then there's more videos on your website, Fern, which are very well done. Like I've said a million times, the proof is in the pudding. You can go check it out. Is it just remind me of the website again for people to go check
It's
that out?
just Fern, like the plant, FERN, dogtraining.com. And I've got tons of videos, podcasts, blogs,
Yep.
extra free content for, all your customers to go check out. But that's the thing about dogs. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. I feel it's the same thing with dogs. And so it's great to have organizations like yourself being able to support dog owners. Because here's the thing, dogs require a lot more than we really can give them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's not like they like exercise. They need exercise. They don't like socialization. They need it. These are things that are needed. And if you want a healthy, happy dog, we have to provide those things. So it's great having, just a place you can trust like Unleashed, where dogs are going to get the things that you can't provide at home. There's only so much we can do. I can't provide on a regular basis 20 dogs for my dog to socialize and play with and have that kind of an outlet. So it's so great to have that support system because we can all work together, and that's what we do. We all work together and we help these dogs live happier and healthier lives.
Yeah, it's not like you can explain to a dog, "Hey, you should go and run 10 laps around the house. It's
Yeah.
good for you."
Yeah.
They just stare at the
Yep.
door like, "Why aren't you out here with me?" So that's why, yeah, absolutely, daycare and those not only the socialization but the exercise is outstanding. We see that with we of course, as you can imagine, have parents all the time saying, I just love when my dog gets home. He's so happy and tired, and then a
Yeah.
lot of times the next day too, and it's great. So that's the greatest compliment we can get. But we're super excited, Fern. This is fantastic. You've already been an incredible resource to us here at Unleashed, and we're excited to share your knowledge and all the work you've done with our customers. So thanks again. I hope this isn't the last time we talk. Hopefully, we'll talk a lot more here on this podcast because you've got so much knowledge to share, and I'd love to get you on again to talk about more things as they come up. I'm sure we will, but thank you so much for taking the time and happy holidays here. We really look forward to working with you some more.
No, my pleasure, Ben. And getting me to talk is not the problem. Getting me to shut up about dogs is the problem. So I'm happy to come on anytime. And yeah, thanks for having me be part of it. And I'm so proud and honored to be affiliated with Unleashed.
Oh, great. Thanks, Vern. Take care.